Good morning, this is David Montelongo with Sunrise Restoration, and today I'm going to walk you through a project that is a foundation damage project. So this would be of special interest to any of you homeowners out there that are seeing some cracks in your walls, maybe some cracks in your tile, evidence of some sort of foundation movement. Here in our particular area, in San Antonio and a lot of South Texas, there's a lot of soil movements anyways. And so it doesn't always mean you have a major issue, but if you think that you have an issue or suspect that you have an issue, then you definitely want to have it looked into. So on this particular project, when my client called me out, what we had is we had tile in this room, and what she could visibly see, you can see the crack here, but you could visibly see how the crack had opened up and the tile had separated and the tile had started to heave. Those are some real telltale signs that there's some significant movement going on. Many times I walk into houses and there's little hairline cracks and things like that. This house had more substantial movement. And the reason why that's important is if you think you have some movement, it's better to catch it early in the process than late in the process. Because, especially with a concrete foundation, typically what will happen, or typically the reason why it will move, is because there's some sort of a leak down below the foundation. Now, not always, but step number one is you really need to identify whether or not there is truly foundation damage. So what you would do is you would call us out, have us come out, and we would put a water level on the house and check all of the different areas of the house to see, if the levels are good, if the house is level throughout, or if there are level changes. So in this particular project, there was this, everything in the front of the house was in good shape. From this line back to the back of the house, there was a drop of 3.5 inches. So when you have a significant drop like that, what happens is it puts pressure on your plumbing drain lines below the foundation. It can cause cracks in that foundation, and when water or sewage seeps out, the ground gets wet, and it causes the foundation further damage. It can cause the foundation to sink and to create more significant damage. So the earlier you catch it in the process, typically the less damage that you're going to find, because you catch it, you fix it, you repair it, and then the problem doesn't continue. So let me show you a little bit about what we did here. In this particular project, we put in 23 piers around the perimeter of the structure and also on the interior of the structure. So to save money on this particular project, what we did is we stayed away from the cabinets and countertops and only did our piers in the open floor area so that we really didn't have to damage or to replace cabinets and get into the expense of replacing cabinets and countertops. Now there were significant cracks throughout the house. The foundation has already been repaired on this particular project. Drywall has already been repaired, and we've already painted the project. So at this point, what we're doing is we still have tunneling open underneath of the house. Plumbers are going through and making all their repairs. We had about 40 feet of tunneling on this project from our exterior clean out to our troubled areas. It was in a triangle shape on this particular project and about 40 feet of tunneling. So let's go back to the back, the master, where we had some of our most significant damage. And you can get a sense of, what we're doing. So for one, we're making these piers so that we can get underneath and lift the foundation. But once the foundation is lifted and stabilized, then we have the plumbers in so that they can check and make sure that there's no cracks or additional leaks. And they do that initially with a hydrostatic test. That's one of the first tests that we run. Then we run our camera system. And then along with the camera system, we do what's called a pinpoint accuracy test, so we can identify exactly where the leaks are taking place. So let's go outside. Let's take a look at the clean out. So here's one of the pipes that is being repaired or replaced today. If you take a look at this is all of your connections, and there was this crack in the pipe. So on this little crack right here, you've got water and sewage seeping out of that, which gets that ground wet underneath the foundation. If the ground is wet, the foundation or the earth can settle underneath of the foundation, causing the foundation to drop. So the earlier that you can see and identify the damage and stop the problem, then typically the less amount of damage that you'll have to go about repairing. So this is what you're really, where the problem lies, like in this particular project. These types of cracks happened in several locations throughout the house, and it was causing this whole backside of the house to drop and lower. So if you're seeing cracks in your house, you want to identify those cracks, and you want to know if you're actually having movement or if these are just minor settling cracks. You can call us, Sunrise Restoration, at 210-683-8917. You can also text me, 210-683-8917. We'd be happy to come out and take a look at it with you, identify if there are any problems, help you figure out how to get those problems fixed, and get your house restored the way that you want it, so that you can live your life happily and make sure and protect your most valuable asset.